This is BTV News. I'm Ulibile Samoka. Let's take a look at stories making headlines. Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa left for Harare this morning after attending the 4th session of the Botswana-Zimbabwe Binational Commission. The Department of Meteorological Services predicts high temperatures this coming week. Local runners Colin Kibinatipi and Tsao Nesibili booked themselves a spot each at the All-Africa Games. Welcome and thank you for joining us. Now, in our first story, Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa left for Harare this morning after attending the 4th session of the Botswana-Zimbabwe Binational Commission, which ended yesterday in Maun, where the two countries talked about their cooperation in a range of areas and including enhanced integration. During the commission, Zimbabwe President highlighted the need for the two countries to prioritize deepening relations, mostly in the agriculture sector, to feed their nation. Now, Botswana and the Zimbabwean companies are encouraged to explore each other's markets for export opportunities to enable cross-border trade. This was said by the Botswana Investment and Trade Center Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Kilusisitse Ulibile, when giving an overview of opportunities that exist between the two countries at the just-ended Binational Commission between Botswana and Zimbabwe Sideline Business Forum in Maun. Mpo Aaron reports.
In an effort to develop and enhance trade and economic relations, Botswana Investment and Trade Center and Zimtrade jointly held a sideline business forum at the Binational Commission between Botswana and Zimbabwe. Mr. Olibile said that as BIATC, they have for the past years done some studies in Zimbabwe that the business community in Botswana can access as they seek business opportunities in that country.
Through some of the frameworks that we have put in place locally, we have seen a very attractive proposition for Zimbabwean companies to set up some kind of structure in Botswana, particularly for capital raising and enablement of operations at their base. And that's why I said we are beginning to see expressions of interest and letters of intent of companies that have begun to understand this story. When you operate in Botswana, you are basically able to do business with every corner of the world. I don't know if we are all aware that with the bilateral, multilateral agreements that our government has signed, there isn't any corner of the world that is not impacted. We are in the SADC trade protocol. We are now elevating to AFCFTA.
Zimbabwe is said to still hold a fountain of untapped opportunities available for trade with Botswana. A fact that needs to be worked on, however, is that Botswana does not even make the top 10 countries that Zimbabwe export to.
If you look at Botswana, it's not in the top 10. But the reason why we are here is to make sure we also change that narrative so that we become top trading partners. Since we are neighbors, I think we've got a lot to share. But now looking at Africa, also I think the biggest chunk of our exports are going to South Africa, and then followed by Zambia, Kenya, and then Botswana is also there. So we need to change the narrative, because as we speak, if South Africa catches a flu or sneezes, we catch a flu. So we need to diversify the export basket, and that's the reason why we are also here.
BITC and Zimtrade signed a memorandum of understanding in 2018 to facilitate collaboration and cooperations between the two organizations, which has culminated in several business-to-business missions happening. Some of the sectors of focus of trade relations include, among others, agriculture, agro-processing, services, which include tourism and finance, and manufacturing, covering textile, clothing, building materials, and furniture. Mpo Aaron, BTV News, Maun.
Ms. Debbie Peake, a trophy dealer based in Maun, has urged the media to expose opportunities within the wildlife industry, which she says carry massive potential to diversify the economy. Ms. Peake was speaking during a visit by the President, Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi, to the Machaba trophy dealers to appreciate the work that they do to preserve wildlife products.
Botswana is home to a great diversity of wildlife, and Ms. Peake says that most of the wildlife economy remains untapped in Botswana and believes that the media has a critical role of informing the nation about this unexplored territory, which she says only needs to be better coordinated and packaged for Botswana to comprehend and have access to.
We need to have that conversation. at a national level of how do we bring this wildlife economy together, how do we harness it with our government institutions, but how do we get the private sector to really step in and make it more useful for our national population, human and wildlife. We need the media to help us get this message out. And there's a lot of good things being done by a lot of people, institutions, local organizations. There's the Okavango Research Institute with UB that are doing amazing research on wildlife. And where do we hear about that?
President Masisi urges Botswana to take advantage of this niche.
You hardly see the wildlife economy in our airports, and yet we're so big. Even the postcards, the pictures, it's amazing, startling. You go to Zakhama International Airport, zero.
Wildlife economy talks about anybody or any institution that is involved with wildlife. So it involves communities, it involves producers, it involves people like me at this level, but it also includes tourism, photographic tourism. And up until now, there's been a bit of a divide between photographic tourism and consumptive tourism.
Wildlife economy is centered around the sustainable utilization of indigenous wildlife, both plants and animals, as an economic asset to create value that aligns with conservation objectives. The government continues to support various community programs and interventions geared towards capacitating locals and including them in the local economy. Maranyane Samakata, BTV News, Maung.
The First Lady, Ms. Noma Sisi, has urged different cooperatives in the Silibe-Pikwe-Bubirwa region to merge in order to improve their bargaining power and reduce competitive rivalry, adding that cooperatives have the potential to eradicate poverty and grow the economy. The First Lady made the remarks during her engagement with some cooperative societies in Bobonong last Friday. Kabelo Khakololo was there.
The government of Botswana has identified innovation and entrepreneurship as one of the drivers of her transition into a knowledge-based economy. Enterprises that are in the form of social cooperatives have a huge potential of addressing societal problems like unemployment. However, some cooperatives in the Silibe-Pikwe-Bubirwa area are struggling to stay afloat.
Le thoko le tona la rona ke ha re direlang teng ke di dirisiwa le one madi
ga rena re tsone di machine tsa bo hemming bo embroidery tse di tona tse no gore ngwe le combine e dira sengwe le sengwe ga rena le tsone.
The First Lady has implored them to be resilient, relentless and selfless, adding they should embrace Botswana's digital transformation agenda in order to capacitate themselves and attract investors.
Dikoporase ke dilo tse leng gore di molemo thulaganyo ya teng e ka rentsha mo lehumeng e ka jesa bana ba rona mme se segolo thata re dira jaana re iraele kgetsi e kgono ka go tshwaraganelo
tshwaragana re batho ba re rutang re lenela dithuto tse di harologaneng tse leng gore di ka dira gore o helele o itse thata ka go mo teng go tsamaisa kgwebo. Business management.
Currently, there are 17 registered multi-purpose cooperatives in the region.
Lona ba dikoporasi ikopanye le be le ya go bo matebele le hatsele hetogile gate rona ba ile go ra direlo re bolelele ba diredi go re batla eng. It must be driven by your needs. Go re matebele aska le bolela what you need. Lona li bue your needs.
District leadership has also vowed to support these cooperatives.
Gompieno puso e jesa bana di fruits go skolo ke re ka sekara ra lema di banana ra lema di apple re di koporasi ra fide di kole tse di kana mo kgalong ya bobiro go re ne ke ra duotse a re heteng ka tsone re lebelele ka tseleng tsena gore ka nna le sabe sa kholo mo di koporasing tsa rona
rona bogolo jang ja ka go bua ka bo local economic empowerment re bua ka bo local economic development re bua ka dikgang tsa are change go go ntsi mo ile goreng ha go nna jana ga the human mind is not limited ha go nna le diemo tlhaloganye ya kanya se sengwe sa itshetso gore ke ka dira jang ha ke le mo dikgwetong tse dintseng jang.
Through the Ministry of Entrepreneurship, the government is committed to provision of business leadership, strategy, and overall policy direction. Kabalo BTV News, Bubono.
The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Lands and Water Affairs, Dr. Kikgonegile Baipoledi, has appreciated progress made towards the multi-billion Pula Mamashia water project, which is due for completion in April. Speaking during the water treatment plant tour recently, Dr. Baipoledi said after completion of the project, 220 megaliters of water will be delivered per day in the greater Gaborone area. Budulu Mohorisi.
Mamashia water treatment plant was supposed to be done by 2015, but due to a number of factors including procurement, complications and limited budgets contributed to the delays. The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Lands and Water Affairs, Dr. Kikgonegile Baipoledi, says the ministry takes pride in this kind of project because it's an engineering masterpiece in the area of water.
With the completion of this project, we will be able to deliver 220 megaliters per day into Greater Gaborone area and literally have surplus. And we take pride in this because even students of engineering are finding this as a masterpiece to come and learn from. Water utilities is now our center of excellence. In fact, they have come up with a way of disinfecting water which does not use chlorine. And our water quality is actually above the quality set by WHO.
This tour has provided deeper context through which priorities can be evaluated and knowledge needs when dealing with the budget.
Your report, really it will help us appreciate better your demands for budget and how such projects have to be supported. Water is a very critical strategic infrastructure. It provides a context for development. It is necessarily a long-term investment.
NSC 2.2 is coming to completion. It's left with a few months. It's currently at 80% completion. By the time the water arrives here, the treatment plant ought to have been completed so we can commission the treatment plant. Once that is done, we will eradicate the 15% deficit in the Greater Gaborone area and result with a surplus for a few years to come until Zambezi comes on.
This project is viewed as a fundamental plan to answer for water crisis countrywide. Therefore, a catch-up plan has been put up to accelerate all water projects carried under the Transitional National Development Plan. Budulo Mohorosi, BTV News, Mamashia.
The Department of Meteorological Services predicts high temperatures this coming week, despite their initial report of the temperatures dropping beginning Saturday the 10th. They further said due to high energy and pressures in the atmosphere caused by the heat, there is a possibility of heavy storms. Kelekeletse Somalakai reports.
In the past week, the country experienced extreme heat in many areas across Botswana. Unexpectedly, the high temperatures translated to heavy storms in some parts of the country on Friday. However, according to the Department of Meteorological Services, the heat wave will continue even in the coming weeks, with possible storms and rains here and there due to atmospheric composition formed by extreme heat from the Earth's surface.
11 le 12 go tanna botokanyana mme mo mahelo a mangwe hela especially dikgaolo tse di ko borwa ke gone gore ta bona bo le bohodi ba bo 33 mme a re tswelela ra go pele ka bo di 13 di 14 mogotontsi wa boa gape wa mamahelo a mantsi a lefatshe leno so ke tsela gore gongwe biketa go na le kgonagalo gore gongwe re ka tsebusa setšhaba gape gore mogoto ko godimo ko sa ke lebeletse gona ke breaking yana hela 2 days then wa tswelela gape.
The department further dissected on the major causes of the heat wave.
Anti-cyclone kana the pressures are high. So the pressure are high go godimo. We didn't allow mal hatsi. So mogoto ha o kgona go escape o tsena into the atmosphere. O boela mo le hatsi. So ba gonna o mogoto no montsi thata mo le hatsi. Ya no la ntse go le mogoto yana. Mme gone a gore pula ga e hela ka letse re bone maabane go thotse go le mogote temperature di tshwara bo 39 bo 38 mme re le maitsiboa a bo go nna le pula hela e botokanyana ya dipful di gadima so ya no santse re itse gore go le mogote yana go nna le too much energy in the atmosphere. That energy ke ne e ra gore go ne le build up of storms di-storm tse le gore they can be violent, di kgona go naka hail, phefo tse ntse di masheta ka tse re di itemogetse maabane le tsone di kgadimo.
Some of the local SMMEs bore the brunt of the heat wave, experiencing many losses in their fruits and vegetable businesses.
Sa le go simolola mogote re nna re latha merogo hela right through gape ga go nna mogote merogo ka bontsi ya jiwa diji di nna dintsi thata ya no ithela le bone di-customer tota di complain ba bangwe ba amogela seemo se teng gore merogo ya selemo le merogo ya mariga ga go tshwane nya nako ya selemo hela ga go nna na go le mogote a kgwebo e nna ko tlase ga go rekwi tota ga le batho go aka
banana la ha o e rekile le fresh ya heto ha ena ntsho o boro wa go reka morogo wa teng o ta bo swaba ha o seno no swaba customer di o khathela di drink ha o tswa go reka bo di ice yana ha go nna mogoto montse o ra o reka ice ha bidi ka ice ele ya go melta ka speed.
Taking proper precautions in all weather changes came highly recommended, and it is said to be crucial. Kilikelezwe, Somulikai, BTV News, Gaborone.
The Assistant Minister of Agriculture, in his capacity as the Member of Parliament for Madinare, Mr. Monabatsi, has leapfrogged 20 members of the community in Madinare village with a batch of 1,000 Krela chickens at 3 weeks old to venture into the poultry, farming and business space. The area Member of Parliament was making a contribution towards establishment of profitable poultry businesses that can uplift the socio-economic status of the community. The donated chickens were handed over at Jakiela Ward in Madinare recently. Karabo Mulusi reports.
Receiving these gifts of chickens, the beneficiaries accepted the grace to resume their poultry projects with confidence and motivation, looking forward to leverage on the potential market of the Masibodze Poultry Abattoir under construction just 40 kilometers from Madinare.
Kana mathabelo a Masibodze ba gaetsho a simolotse go agiwa mme go tile re taba ra neelwa a bereka ka April ke kgwedi tse pedi go tswa gone gompie kwa se se ne sa nthasa re ke rotwetse Batswana ke rotwetse ba mo kgaolong ya me bone ba gauhile le mathabelo gore e nne bone ba eleng gore simologo ya gore ba supply mathabelo e nne rona ka kwana go ka kgonagala gore re intshe mo lehumeng ka go rua dikoko re di rekisetsa go mathabelong a Masibodze.
Bangwe ba tsere dipudi tsa mananeo ba rekile dikgomo, bangwe ba tsere dipudi tsa mananeo ba agile masimo le yone koko ene ya hela o e tlhokomela o isa BMC ya go ha matshelo a mangwe a rileng mme hela ba getso bo gaketse mo motseng wa rona a re yeng go tlhokomela diotsi.
The gesture was recognized as the much-needed support by the community, expressing gratitude and appreciating the tips on how to manage the chickens alongside the prospects of the new Chema program targeting small businesses.
Hari bona re hiwa tsono ere kana ba to go leta le tellenyana re ntse re tshenya mototegika re bata dikoko tse mme ke ha go gorogile na kwa rena ke batho ba gaetso na ala se ke se le bogalang gore o ka re ka go di tlhokomela tota ranna rantsa ere ha re ntse re somolela kwa ranna rata ra oketsa.
In terms ya animal husbandry letsa ja le tlhoka le mo go tsone ha o kwa go isiamela gore go nna mogote ventilation gore pheo e kgone go di huka hukanyana ha le go nna mogote thata metsi a tsididinyana wa dire a kere gore go leka go di khula ne re bua gore re bata go tokahatsa matshelo a rona a nna botoka e le ga sennela ruri jaanong a re amogeleng mo palamente ka lerato la sennela ruri le baofisi ya gago gompieno a kere a bo re amogela dikoko tse ka lerato la semodimo gape la sennela ruri.
If the beneficiaries manage their businesses effectively and navigate the challenges that may occur, 20 families stand to benefit from the project as the Krela chickens produce good quality meat and eggs. The project could also spark interest for more poultry ventures and growth in the area. Karabo Mulusi, BTV News, Madinare.
In a bid to diversify its economy, Botswana government is shining the spotlight on the creative industry. The Department of Broadcasting Services, in collaboration with Big Dog Production, is spearheading this initiative to showcase the potential of Botswana's creative talents through the DBS Roadshow. The roadshow was sent to Silipikwe to unearth the different creative talents in the town. Mamusi Siska with more.
The creative industry in Botswana has long been recognized as having the potential to unravel talent and innovation. From music and film to fashion and art, the country boasts a wealth of creative individuals eager to make their mark on the global stage. The industry holds immense potential for economic growth and job creation in the country.
We have to enable them. We have to package them. In a level, internationally. So after this road show, and take them to the next stage. And it's a good thing to have collaborations with Big Dog Productions, DBS, the creative sector.
E re tletse boitumelo ka re e bontsha gore bodiragatsi ga ba sala ko morago o buile ka kgantsa intellectual property yena ga e tlhalosiwa e bontsha gore e tla thusa badiragatsi le gore ba sireletse se ba se tlhamileng se sentle seo se ska sa utswiwa ke batho ba bangwe le bone ka motso se tsoge se ba direla isago ye botoka.
Through this collaboration, the government aims to support local artists by providing funding, training and resources to enhance their skills and productions.
You know, from Boholo Mpikwele, a special town, and I think we've seen the most variety so far. I mean, so far, so far we've seen the most variety, but in terms of
keletso ya me ke go bona project e tswela go pele ka gore e re ngoketse maloko mme bile gape tumelo ya rona ke gone gore e godisa industry ya rona ka tsela e leng gore ya gagamatsa.
I'm on my way to success. I get ke success ya so ke rotetse ngwana ngwe le mongwe gore o ska ithoga mo tsholo di talent di a bereka tota di talent di a bereka tota I got to like it.
By promoting creativity, innovation and entrepreneurship, the government hopes to instill a culture of self-reliance and resilience in the population. Mamusi Siska, BTV News, Silipikwe.
You're watching BTV News. Thank you for staying with us. Now, in their effort to educate donkey cart drivers about road safety, the Khanti Road Safety Committee held a one-day workshop with the donkey cart users on how to obey road traffic signs in order to reduce road accidents. Let's compiled this one.
Dikar settlement is 30 kilometers from Hansi Township, and majority of the community rely mostly on donkey cart as their mode of transport. Hence, the Hansi Road Safety Committee embarked on a campaign to sensitize the community on road safety issues with the donkey cart owners.
gore a mme o ka dirisa tsela le ba bangwe a mme le lone le ruo la gago le lone o tlhomamisitse gore ke le ruo le leng gore le ka tsamaya mo tseleng ke jone boikarabelo jo e leng gore re bo hile gore mongwe le mongwe o dirisang tsela re lemoge gore mme gone o tsamaya mo tseleng a ba
re na le lone drunken driving mo go lone o re wa tsaya kara o e phekagela ga go nwang teng o tlhola o nwa bosigo o tsena mo kareng tsa ke bona go ile gara motse
ba se gore di reflector tse di nyetsweng tseo ga tele pagame di 20 se di bokana le tsa mega di sports car se ka tebe le na le reflector ga ba rialo nya ka gore ka moso ke tsore e tebe le lona gape ka bona motho tsa mabusi wa re nya ke tsene reflector a gere ga ba rialo kganyeo ya reflector o gora go motso ha a ka ntsa botsa gore le kwike go montso le mo tselebe o hialwa mo tseleng.
Residents had an opportunity to raise some of their concerns.
yaanong ke re ke legakolong gore bana ba kgweetse diskoskara ba le bo 14 years gape di le mo seemong se se siameng le digogi tsa rona e be di itekanetse re se ka ra kgokgontsha dirui
ba mo di-competition o kgona go tsaya dikara tse pedi ka gore bone ba na le dikara o tla utlwa motho ate ke mo itile wa go hita ga bone gore o ko pele kgweta mona wa hita ga bone gore o kone kgona go tla ko pele kana jaaka re ba mo competition yela bone
It is hoped that since there's been some information dissemination to the donkey cart owners, they will start obeying some road signs and it will reduce number of road accidents. Lesego Mokwaisi, BTV News, Dikar.
The councillor for Khakibani village in Kgalagadi South, Mr. Tirolopule, has praised residents for their efforts in helping to keep their village free of litter. Mr. Pule said a clean environment reduces harm to livestock, plants, and also reduces pollution.
Volunteers of all ages turned up to clean the streets and paths of Khakibani village as part of a clean-up campaign organized by the village leadership. Mr. Pule said the plan is to come up with initiatives such as clean wards competitions to motivate residents.
Ne re dira door by door re tsena mo go bone gore tla re ka di 9 e be go le clean up campaign.
We went door to door encouraging residents to take part in the clean-up campaign. From here, the campaign will move to neighboring villages.
Ke rona ka moso ke khawa le latelang ke khwise hela jana.
Mo di kgwebong tsa rona mo ga Khibana jana a re tshware matlakala sentle.
Business and churches also have a responsibility to keep a clean environment and dispose waste safely. Residents say a clean and tidy surrounding is their ideal environment. Just as you take care of your home, you should also take care of your village. Encourage villages across Botswana to start clean-up campaigns. Residents were warned against burning litter, as it is not only illegal but also poses a health hazard to human beings and other living things. BTV News, Khakibani.
Well, that is the news this hour. Do stay with us on standby to take you through the world of sport. Take us through the world of sport.
Oh, yes. Good evening, Samka, and let me thank you indeed. Greetings to you all. As he has already mentioned, I'm Khosronke bringing to you Botswana Tonight Sports News. And with that, let's get straight into it. Local runners Colin Gibina CB and Sauna Sibili booked themselves a spot each at the All Africa Games. Gibina CB secured qualification after winning the 200 meters race in a time of 20.52 seconds, while Sauna Sibili booked her spot after finishing the race in 23.79 seconds in the ladies category. This event was used to select a team to represent Botswana at the upcoming All Africa Games, which will be held at the at the National Stadium on Saturday. Lydia Puluko has more.
Gibina CP had a good start to the year as they won the men's senior 200-meter race to secure a spot at the upcoming All Africa Games to be hosted in Ghana. Gibina CP finished in a time of 20.53 seconds, followed by Lubatlama Kodiraone in 21.05 seconds, while Lundi Pinaima came third in a time of 21.09 seconds.
To check the speed, but in 20.5. I was aiming for maybe 20.9 just for the start. Tota coming here, we didn't plan for any competition. I can take a season to check the speed. So if anything happens, there's a plan of training during the following week.
In the senior women's 200 category, Tsaone Sebele emerged victorious after clocking 23.79 seconds. Katla Hosem came second in 24.78 seconds, while Bitapekela Pile finished third.
A lot of speed endurance, and then we are slowly getting into things because Mwakawa is small second race for myself, so it's looking good so far. It really means a lot because that means it's going to be a good boost looking at Nagwedis and Nankayone for the national champs for the FNB Golden Grand Prix, and also going ahead in terms of qualifying for the 2024 Paris Olympics. So it's a good thing.
Kaho Sancho also had a good day as they scooped first position in 400 meters before becoming second in the senior men's 200 meter race.
Plan I'm a Mukatisi, Nelo and qualify the Africa Games go Accra, Ghana, so we know tell qualification so you do me hell. Kellos our qualify the Olympic or anything. Rebele salos our Olympic or lega who qualify April again or Garanta Mupi.
In other results, 400-meter veteran Isaac Makwala finished second behind Umpile Siribe in a time of 46.99 seconds, while Penyo Majama finished third. The 400-meter senior men's hurdle category went to Maizeo Gitumezi, who clocked 50.59 seconds, while Pesi Tsutlaho and Joseph Haitesepe finished second and third and 51.73 seconds, respectively. Meanwhile, in the women's javelin, Kimonye Baitolese finished in first position, followed by Malokole Poswa, while Kelezo Mutudi came third. Lydia Puloko, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
Meanwhile, Botswana Athletics Association Vice President Technical Wabona Tezo says he's happy with how things unfolded and was impressed by the number of participants, especially new emerging names.
Turn up, we are the spectators. Remember, the athletes are the spectators. And how the spectators need like a political demotat. Maybe learn some athletes who qualified in the African Senior Championships. We have an athlete like Bosancho who have qualified. This are against the usual names since and it's a good thing. Development. Rebone Jalo, Colin Minachipilene, 200 meters. But again, athletes like Bo Makwala, who are senior athletes, but they keep on coming here, but motivate it's a very good thing. If you look at Bo Nanayana and Sami, Wajan Athletics Club, she's a very good young athlete, still a youth, but compared to the junior is the best time. So once total as the federation
And now into netball. Vipers beat UB Crystals 43-33 in a first round of Lukara Netball South Women's League match played yesterday at Bonacourts in Gaborone. Ren Khawanyani has more.
Vipers started on a high, taking the game to Crystals and took the first quarter by a point, winning it 10-9. There was not much difference in the second quarter as both teams managed to score 10 points each to make it 20-19. Vipers continued to register more points to increase the lead. Even though they made mistakes, Crystals failed to capitalize. The quarter ended with Vipers still leading 33-25. In the fourth and final quarter, Vipers just cruised to the finishing line, winning the match 43-33.
I'm quite happy that game is a lead of 10, though we lead some few errors. We lose the ball, but I think I'm going to go back to the drawing board.
I think it was a little bit of a scrappy start for us, and our structure was a bit off for today. But I believe that the girls had moments of brilliance here and there. They're such a young team generally, and I think we encouraged them to exemplify themselves on court. But I think today there's still a lot to work on in terms of solidifying our structure.
The issue is the game so that let's say Rukalari re Patalasele has a little closer. So that I got a second round, they have a Kotana the game who are Kadisa, Kojan and Arisamo, the same Pilakuru, so that the game ready Sokopato.
In the other games played on Saturday, Jaspers beat Prisons 47-34, while joining Hamad Notwani 65-38. Ryan Khamunyane, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
Now into Botswana Premier League, Motsoletsi Sikele's goal against the security systems took Township Rollers back to the top of the Botswana Premier League log standings with 34 points. Sikele's goal came through in additional minutes of first half today at National Stadium. Let's take a look at the highlights of the game.
Vamos a gola ka karata e khibidu vamos gasa ka bohibidu atapata chira o tsholetsa mahatha ba itshela mo gargale ba la bona phakola ba ntsha phase kotsi chira ba tshireletsa go mora go maikano se gola boy ba tshireletsa maikano ana what I say.
And then they need to ensure that they close down these spaces, but we have to also applaud Sarameng for that pass.
Katile wa bohelo totare mo seterele mo go a borataro janu e re hela girialo kgethola ntsha kgethola bobedi kgethola boraro abare ha
new or the game that is going to be played here, it would be the sort of, and the whole week please let's be swift on ball, let's not hang too much on the ball because they know they play very physical game, but unfortunately we got an injury, unplanned one. We have to make some substitutes, we have to rearrange because you know the issue of the goalkeeper and the back four is something that you need to work on, but fortunately enough the goalkeeper that came in did his job, didn't concede. We won 1-0. It's not pleasing much, but what we need, 3 points. And I told you, this team, it's under the list that it is always give Rollers a tough time. Before the red card, we put them in our half, in their half rather. We created so many chances. But these are the things that we should learn from. When we have it in our hand, we need to bury the chances. So the red card, it really cost us a lot. But that's part of football. We'll have to dust ourselves up and move on.
Desert Ngau and Prisons 11 played to a goalless draw in the ongoing First Division South games in Tsabong yesterday. Prisons 11 is placed at 10 on the log standing with 14 points, while Desert Ngau is number 11 with 11 points.
I think the game had some I think the draw is a true reflection of the game. Though in upper hand, especially second half on the left, we had a play on a side. Unfortunately, we couldn't just finish.
Tota hela motshameko wa gompieno hela nna ka bona ga ja o itumelela do lanka se ke tsene go thulaganyo ya officiating. I thought that ball was a clear goal. Pasao ka lebella striker ha se le hapele ga goli sa se dirang a ba tlola hela sa dire gape bolwelele kwa.
And that is all that we had for you from Botswana Tonight Sports Desk. Until we meet next time, have a blessed night. Now let me bring it back to Ulibile Samuka to give you the headlines of tonight. Samuka?
Right. Yeah, Joseko, thank you so much. We have done well. I think we have finished the weekend on a good note.
Oh, yes.
Let's do this again next time.
Next time we do.
All right. And that is how we come to the end of the news. But first, let's take a reminder of our top stories. Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa left for Harare this morning after attending the 4th session of the Botswana Zimbabwe Bi-National Commission. The Department of Meteorological Services predicts high numbers this coming week. Local runners Colin Kibina-Tipi and Tsaone Sebele book themselves a spot each at the All Africa Games. Well, that is the news. This is our do. Stay with us.
Welcome to beautiful Botswana, where the warmth of her people and wildlife is welcoming. where the vibrancy of her land echoes in the unforgettable voices of her people.